Seed oils are one of the most unhealthy ingredients.
It's one of the worst oils you can put in your body.
They told you your kitchen was safe. RFK Jr. says
It is poisoning us.
and the trail leads straight to the shiny bottle by your stove. New lab findings whisper a hard truth. Nearly 70% of so-called healthy oils can be adulterated or oxidized. Refinery heat above 200 degrees can spawn stealth toxins, and reused fryers churn out aldehydes that hitchhike into your blood. How many quiet cuts can a body take before it finally shouts back? Why do 100% pure labels hide solvent extraction, while premium glass can literally shatter your trust? Tonight we pull the lid off your pantry and hold it to the light. This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. Do not panic or get angry yet. At the end of each section, we will show safe, affordable replacements you can actually buy, so you keep your meals clean and your budget intact. Now, the toxic truth about vegetable oils in your home. Number 1. They pitch it to you like a promise of health wrapped in luxury. Liquid gold gleaming through tinted glass. A green badge of virtue in the grocery aisle. But pull that curtain back and what you find isn't golden at all. It's rot, polished to a shine. RFK Jr. has been warning that they are quietly poisoning us, and avocado oil has become the perfect Trojan horse, a smiling bottle hiding a rancid, synthetic heart. A landmark investigation by UC Davis ripped this illusion open when they cracked open 36 bottles from 19 stores scattered across the US. And Canada, the very ones tucked between the ketchup and cooking spray in your local Walmart or Costco. Nearly 70% were not what they claimed. They were either spoiled beyond edibility or diluted with bargain bin seed oils, soybean, sunflower, safflower, the kind used to grease fast food fryers. Only about 31% were actually pure avocado oil, and just 36% were even remotely fresh. Imagine paying steakhouse prices for something closer to stale cafeteria grease dressed in a green disguise. That's the scam playing out on shelves right now. And the trap snaps tightest, where people can least afford to see it coming. The cheap, refined avocado oils, the ones lined up under store brand labels that older Americans on fixed incomes stretch their last few dollars to buy, believing they are making the healthier choice. Instead, they are swallowing a slow-acting sabotage. These refined oils are far more prone to oxidation, quietly generating toxic byproducts that stress the liver like a clogged air filter, wear down the digestive tract like sandpaper, and trigger inflammation that smolders under the radar. Even the bottles flaunting "Product of Spain," which sounds fancy enough to lull anyone, turned out to be a total mirage. In that UC Davis study, every single bottle marked from Spain was adulterated. Not most, all. And here's the sinister kicker. There are still 0 US federal purity standards for avocado oil. Olive oil has them, milk has them, but avocado oil? It's a regulatory ghost town. That means corporations can sell you a Frankenstein blend of oxidized mystery oils, call it avocado, and legally walk away laughing while you pay the price in hospital bills. What makes this betrayal so chilling is how invisible it island. The oil might look clear, smell faintly nutty, even taste fine on your toast while quietly carrying molecular rust that your body has to clean up like an unpaid janitor. The label screams heart healthy while quietly slipping you the same unstable fats you were trying to avoid. And because there have been no dramatic poisoning splashed across headlines, no emergency recalls pulling pallets off shelves, this sabotage hides in plain sight. Watchdogs from the Washington Post to Consumer Food Labs are now sounding alarms, demanding enforceable purity rules, third-party testing, and real transparency about where these oils come from. But until that happens, buying avocado oil is like playing roulette with your health, and the house always wins. Older Americans who just want something safe to cook with are being played as easy marks in a rigged carnival game. RFK Jr. says they are poisoning us, and if you are trusting that shiny bottle on your shelf, you might already be holding the smoking gun and pointing it straight at yourself. Number 2. You buy a sleek glass bottle of premium avocado oil, expecting the pure green elixir of health, not an accidental booby trap waiting to explode on your countertop. But in April 2024, that nightmare suddenly became real for thousands of Americans. Primal Kitchen, the upscale brand plastered across wellness blogs and celebrity kitchens, had to yank roughly 2,060 cases of their 750 milliliter glass bottle avocado oil off shelves after discovering a chilling flaw. The very bottles themselves could break apart. Not crack, break. The kind of failure that doesn't just spill oil. It sends razor-edged glass shrapnel straight into the food you were planning to feed your grandkids. RFK Jr. has been warning that they are poisoning us. And here, it wasn't even the oil doing the damage. It was the container itself, the Trojan horse shell designed to look luxurious while harboring silent danger. Warehouse workers were the first to see the signs. Pallets arriving with mysterious leaks, boxes stained dark and greasy, bottles quietly bleeding their contents as though wounded. Monitoring flagged it, and the truth spilled out. These stylish glass bottles were prone to breakage, a term so sanitized it sounds almost polite, like calling a loaded gun temperamental. The recall went public between April 19th and April 22nd through the FDA and Primal Kitchen's own website, sending ripples through California, the eastern US, and online retailers everywhere. The defect affected only the 750 milliliter glass format, specifically bottles marked with UPC 855-232-00719 foreign case, UPC 10-855-232-00719-10000, carrying best when used by dates between August 19th and August 21st of 2025. It wasn't just a matter of a little mess. The risk was blood and stitches, shards hidden in oil, glass glittering invisibly on your salad, or slick spills turning your kitchen floor into a trap door for broken hips. And yet, no injuries had been reported. Not yet. That's the kind of false comfort that lulls people back to sleep when they should be sitting bolt upright. Because glass is silent when it betrays you. It doesn't smell rotten like spoiled food. It doesn't announce itself with mold or slime. It just waits for the wrong twist of a wrist. 1 second, you're drizzling heart-healthy oil on your toast. The next, you're picking splinters out of your mouth. That's why Primal Kitchen begged consumers to immediately toss the recalled bottles and contact them for refunds. They tried to frame it as a contained, isolated problem. Only that specific size, those specific dates, no other batches affected. They stressed how they caught it internally, how their commitment to quality would never falter. But that corporate chorus rings hollow to anyone who has lived long enough to know how easily companies say isolated when they really mean, we got lucky no one's bleeding yet. And here's the deeper crack in the facade. This wasn't a contamination scandal, not spoiled oil or hidden chemicals. It was a failure of the fortress itself. A product that sold safety and strength in every curve of its glass turned out to be fragile as spun sugar, one careless bump away from turning a kitchen into a minefield. For older Americans scraping together their grocery budgets, this is the kind of betrayal that cuts especially deep. They spend more for premium oil to protect their health, only to find the bottle itself as a threat. It's a reminder that in this broken food system, danger doesn't always wear a warning label. Sometimes it comes dressed as luxury, smiling behind polished glass, right up until it shatters in your hands. Number 3, it sizzles in the pan like comfort and nostalgia, that familiar crackle of oil as you fry up a golden crust that smells like Sunday mornings from decades ago. But hidden beneath that cozy soundscape is something far more sinister. RFK Jr. has been warning that they are poisoning us, and modern science is now catching up to that alarm. The vegetable and seed oils filling America's kitchens, especially the cheap ones, high in polyunsaturated fatty acids, PUFAs, like soybean, corn, canola, and sunflower, are quietly transforming into toxic gas chambers the moment they hit high heat. A groundbreaking study in 2025 by Shiano et al. chillingly titled Toxic Aldehydes in Cooking Vegetable Oils, showed that when these oils are brought to typical frying temperatures, they churn out a swarm of poisonous byproducts, particularly aldehydes like 4-hydroxy-2-nonenal HNE. Another major 2025 study published via PMC analyzed 5 common household oils: olive, rapeseed, sunflower, sesame, and more, and found that both prolonged heating and even just leaving oil exposed to light turbocharge this decay, spawning higher and higher levels of aldehydes and oxidative byproducts. It's like watching your healthy oil rot from the inside out, invisible to the eye, but busy rewriting your body's future with every bite. The horror lies in the chemistry itself. PUFAs are molecular glass houses. Their delicate double bonds snap apart under heat like dry twigs in a bonfire. When exposed to oxygen, those broken bonds oxidize into peroxides, which then decompose into aldehydes, the stealth assassins of your frying pan. And it gets worse with repetition. Each time you reuse the same batch of oil, and like restaurants do all day, or like many families trying to stretch their dollars, the destruction compounds. Animal studies have shown that rabbits fed repeatedly heated vegetable oil developed glaring signs of internal carnage, skyrocketing liver enzymes, fat clogged in the liver like sludge in an old pipe, surging oxidative stress markers like malindialdehyde, and collapsing antioxidant defenses such as SOD, California T, and GPX. These aren't vague risks. They're biochemical wreckage, like watching the engine light come on in your body and then pretending it's fine because dinner smells good. And it's not just your gut on the line. These aldehydes don't stay politely in the oil. They rise up with the fumes, swirling into the air you breathe. Multiple studies have warned that inhaling the vapor from overheated frying oil, especially in cramped, poorly ventilated kitchens, can scar the lungs and has been classified as probably carcinogenic to humans with chronic exposure. Imagine that, standing at the stove, breathing in invisible chemical warfare while making French fries. City of Hope Cancer Treatment Centers has even warned that long-term exposure to frying oil fumes is linked to higher cancer risk among food service workers. Every exhale from that sizzling pan could be carrying a time bomb. Yet here's the kicker. The US still has no hard legal ceiling on aldehyde formation in kitchen or restaurant oils. None. No limits on how much invisible poison can brew in a fryer that runs all day in your local diner or fast food joint, because aldehydes don't cause immediate mass poisoning. They work slowly, quietly. They've slipped through the regulatory cracks. No big recalls, no headlines screaming aldehyde-contaminated oil to warn people. Meanwhile, Harvard Health has been waving red flags, warning that repeatedly heating unsaturated oils cranks out not just aldehydes, but also trans fats, and that restaurants often push their oil well past safe limits to save money. So you end up paying for your own slow destruction while thinking you're just getting a crispy meal. For older Americans living on razor-thin budgets, this revelation is especially cruel. Many reuse cooking oil to save money, not knowing that each reheating is like loading another bullet into the chamber. The takeaway is brutal but clear. Avoid reheating oil. Never push it past its smoke point. Use oils more stable under heat like olive, avocado, or high oleic sunflower and canola. And always fry with good ventilation. Even cutting down frying time and lowering the heat a notch can drastically slash the aldehyde buildup. Because every time that oil crackles, something toxic is crackling back. And no glossy label in the grocery aisle will warn you that your kitchen might be filling with invisible poison. Number 4. It's the quietest betrayal of all. The kind that doesn't smell rotten, doesn't taste strange, and doesn't show up until years later when the damage is already carved into your body. RFK Jr. has warned that they are poisoning us, and here is one of the ugliest ways they do it, through the industrial refining of vegetable oils. That clear, golden liquid sitting on your shelf. Especially palm oil and palm olein, but also refined soybean, sunflower, and safflower oils. carries invisible passengers called 3-MCPD esters, 3-monochloropropane-1, 2-diol esters, and glycidyl esters, GE. According to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, these sinister hitchhikers are born in the deodorization chambers of massive refining plants, where oil is blasted with heat hotter than 200 degrees Celsius to strip away odor, color, and anything nature left behind. Under those scorching conditions, with lipids, glycerol, and traces of chloride swirling together, these contaminants form like chemical ghosts. Once inside the human body, they don't stay chained up. They break apart during digestion, unleashing free 3-MCPD and glycidol. In animal studies, 3-MCPD has shredded kidneys and sabotaged male reproductive systems. Glycidol has been branded a probable human carcinogen because it triggers tumors in rodent studies. This is not the kind of extra flavor anyone ordered. And here's the chilling part. This is not rare. A 2023 study titled Occurrence and Dietary Exposure of 3-MCPD esters and GE in Edible Oils, Fats, and Food Items confirmed that these toxins are still widespread throughout the food supply. Even after years of supposed mitigation efforts, refined edible oils consistently show measurable levels of these contaminants. Palm oil and palmolene are the worst offenders, carrying the highest concentrations like ticking chemical time bombs. In U.S. purchased refined oils, documented levels have reached around 7.2 milligrams per kilogram for 3-MCPD esters, and as high as 10.5 milligrams per kilogram for glycidyl esters in some processed oil samples. Imagine that. You drizzle a teaspoon of what's marketed as pure vegetable oil over your skillet, and along with it comes an invisible microdose of kidney poison and potential carcinogen. Like sprinkling your meal with microscopic razor blades you can't see or taste, European regulators are already treating this like a public health emergency. EFSA, the European Food Safety Authority, has slammed down a group tolerable daily intake limit of 0.8 micrograms per kilogram of body weight per day for 3-MCPD and its esters, and has specifically warned that infants and heavy eaters of processed or fried food are most at risk of overshooting that limit. German and Austrian agencies have echoed these alarms. Meanwhile, in the United States, there are still no legally enforced maximum limits for 3-MCPD esters or glycidyl esters in everyday refined oils, aside from a few voluntary industry pledges and special rules for infant formula. The FDA has quietly developed laboratory methods to detect them and has encouraged industry to lower levels. But encouragement doesn't protect anyone. Industry PR keeps insisting they are working on it, as though kidney damage and reproductive toxicity are just bugs they'll patch in the next update. And that's what makes this particular threat so insidious. It's baked directly into the system. The contamination happens not from sloppy handling or dirty factories, but from the core refining process itself. It's not a freak accident, it's the blueprint. As long as industrial oil producers keep blasting their oils with hellish heat to make them look and smell clean, they will keep spawning these carcinogenic hitchhikers. Food scientists are now scrambling to tweak the process, lowering deodorization temperatures, cutting down how long the oil is held at heat, and trying to control chloride sources to limit precursors. But while they tinker, millions are still swallowing this invisible fallout daily. For older Americans on fixed incomes, this is a rigged game. These cheap refined oils dominate the affordable processed foods they rely on. Frozen meals, baked goods, snacks, and fast food, which means they get the highest exposure while having the least ability to avoid it. And they are never warned. No label screams contains reproductive toxins as you drop that bottle in your cart. No shelf sign whispers probable carcinogen as you grab a bag of chips fried in refined palm oil. The lesson, buried under corporate silence, is brutal. The very process that makes these oils look so perfect is what laces them with poison. The only defense is to cut them out. Avoid refined palm oils, limit mass-produced processed snacks, and choose virgin or minimally refined oils from companies that actually publish test data. because what looks like purity on the shelf might already be quietly carving scars into your body. One invisible dose at a time. Number 5. It doesn't smell bad. It doesn't taste bitter. It doesn't make your stomach cramp up tonight. And that is exactly what makes it so terrifying. RFK Jr. has warned that they are poisoning us, and few poisons fit that charge more perfectly than what scientists are now calling the ghost chemicals of our food supply, MOSH and MOAH. These are not ingredients. They are intruders, mineral oil hydrocarbons that slipped out of the petroleum world and into our dinner plates like thieves in white gloves. MOSH, mineral oil saturated hydrocarbons, and MOAHA, mineral oil aromatic hydrocarbons, don't break down, don't wash away, and don't burn off in the pan. They are fat-loving hitchhikers that cling to oily foods, seep into our tissues, and silently build up in the liver, spleen, lymph nodes, and beyond like invisible sludge. MOA is the more sinister of the two. Its ring-shaped molecules are notorious for damaging DNA, and European food safety authorities warn there may be no safe level of MOA exposure at all. Even tiny amounts, eaten often enough, may set the stage for cancer decades down the line. Imagine eating a spoonful of oil that behaves like slow-motion asbestos. Not enough to drop you today, but enough to mark you for tomorrow. And this is not some distant theoretical scare. In 2025, Europe's Rapid Alert System for Food and Feed, RASFF, sounded alarms when olive oils from Spain, the kind marketed as pure, premium, heart-healthy, tested positive for high MOSH and MOAH contamination. These weren't dusty bottles from back-alley vendors. They were mainstream products, flagged for breaching regulatory hazard thresholds. The brands weren't all named publicly, but the message was clear. Even the good oils are not immune. Around the same time, the United Kingdom's Food Standards Agency yanked multiple batches of Jolly Rancher candies made by Hershey off shelves because lab tests revealed illegal MOSH and MOAH levels. Yes, candy. The kind grandparents buy for the grandkids. Regulators noted that MOAH can damage human DNA and carries genotoxic and carcinogenic risk, and they enforced an almost zero-tolerance stance. Meanwhile, those same products were still legal in the US, quietly sold as if nothing had happened. An unsettling reminder that American regulations lag years behind Europe's when it comes to invisible poisons. Then came the Dutch wake-up call. In June 2025, PepsiCo Netherlands issued a recall of multiple snack products, Lay's Bugles, Wackles, and others, after discovering that non-food-grade mineral oil had accidentally contaminated production lines, introducing both MOSH and MOAA. These weren't oils in bottles, but crispy snacks, proving how sneaky the contamination can be. It doesn't just crawl in from dirty oil crops. It creeps in from the machinery itself, from industrial lubricants, packaging inks, recycled cardboard, and cross-contaminated pipelines. It's the food version of secondhand smoke. You didn't invite it in, but it shows up anyway. Consumers who think they are safe because they buy brand-name snacks or elegant bottled oils are often swallowing invisible petroleum stowaways with every bite. The US has not yet seen a dramatic public recall of vegetable oils purely for MOSH, divided by MOA contamination tied to hospitalizations or deaths. And that's exactly how this danger survives. Because it kills slowly, it flies under the radar, but laboratories keep finding measurable traces of MOSH and MOA in vegetable oils, chocolates, candies, and fatty processed foods. Food safety scientists warn that measuring these compounds is tricky. They blend in with naturally occurring hydrocarbons, and detecting tiny amounts requires precision most commercial labs don't even attempt. Still, European agencies are tightening the net, pushing for stricter testing, sharper maximum limits, and updated risk assessments. They are treating MOA especially like a ticking bomb. America, meanwhile, hasn't caught up, leaving older, low-income consumers unknowingly swimming in a chemical soup no one warned them about. And the health stakes are brutal. MOA's aromatic rings slice at DNA, raising cancer risk with every cumulative dose, while MOAsh lurks and piles up in tissues, causing chronic organ stress and low-level inflammation. Because these hydrocarbons love fat, they gravitate to oily and fatty foods, vegetable oils, fried snacks, chocolates, baked goods, the very staples many older Americans rely on for affordable calories. Cheap plastic bottles, recycled packaging, or poorly refined bulk oils are most likely to carry these ghosts, yet they are the very products people on tight budgets reach for first. No label warns them. No sign says, "Contains petroleum leftovers." But that is what they may be buying. The only real defense is refusal. Avoid oils in flimsy or recycled plastic. Choose brands that openly test for MOSH and MOAs. Seek oils with full traceability, and stay skeptical of ultra-processed snacks, candies, and coated foods where contamination lurks unseen. Support the push to impose strict legal limits before this hidden plague spreads further, because what you can't see can still poison you. And every drop of oil might carry ghosts that never leave. Number 6. It's the kind of label designed to soothe. 100% pure, glowing in bold letters across a golden bottle that sits like a trophy of health on supermarket shelves. But in June 2022, that comforting claim cracked open in court like a rotten seed. A proposed class action lawsuit, Heredia et Alii v. ACH Food Companies, Incorporated, was filed in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York, accusing Mazola, one of the most recognizable names in American kitchens, of quietly slipping a chemical shadow into its so-called purity. The plaintiffs alleged that Mazola's canola oil, sold nationwide in cheerful yellow bottles, carried trace residues of hexane, a petroleum-derived solvent used in industrial oil extraction. Hexane isn't listed on the label. It isn't mentioned anywhere. Yet testing allegedly found about 0.79 micrograms of hexane per gram of oil, a whisper of solvent that consumers were never told about. And that's the heart of the scandal. While the bottle shouts, 100% pure, the process behind it involves chemical baths that most people assume they're avoiding when they pay extra for something marketed as clean. The lawsuit argues that this is not just a technical quibble, but a betrayal of consumer trust. Most shoppers, especially older Americans who grew up equating pure with natural, assume that means no harsh chemicals touch their food. Certainly not industrial solvents also used in adhesives, gasoline additives, and cleaning products. Expeller-pressed oils, which use only mechanical force, are marketed as the chemical-free alternative, and they cost more precisely because they avoid this shortcut. The plaintiffs claim ACH Food Companies knew full well that solvent extraction was part of their process, yet kept the 100% pure banner blazing on every bottle without a single hint that hexane had ever touched the seeds. It's like selling a natural spring water that quietly took a detour through a chemical refinery, then counting on no one to ask questions. Regulators do allow tiny traces of hexane. It's volatile, and much of it evaporates during processing. But that's not the point, and that's what makes this case such a gut punch. The health danger may be subtle and cumulative rather than instant, but the deception is immediate. Critics warn that small amounts of chemical residues scattered across many foods can add up over years, especially for vulnerable groups like children, pregnant women, or older adults with slower detox systems. And hexane itself is classified as a volatile organic compound, linked in occupational studies to nervous system effects. Even if the levels are far below acute toxicity thresholds, many consumers want the choice to avoid it. And the label 100% pure snatches that choice away. This lawsuit didn't trigger a mass recall or headlines of poisonings, but it peeled back the curtain on how easily marketing can blur the line between wholesome and industrial. And that's what makes the scandal bigger than just one bottle. Mazola is a giant. Its oils fill supermarket shelves, restaurant fryers, school cafeterias, and retirement home kitchens from coast to coast. When a brand that massive stamps 100% pure on the front while quietly using petroleum solvents in the back, it doesn't just mislead buyers. It rewires public perception of what pure even means. The case, still unresolved as of the latest reports, could become a legal lever forcing companies to either drop the deceptive halo or actually shift to chemical-free methods like expeller pressing. Food policy advocates hope it will spark broader reforms: mandatory disclosure of extraction methods, clearer residue testing, and an end to pure washing labels that hide industrial shortcuts. Because right now, millions of Americans are paying premium prices for something they think is untouched by chemicals, and getting a product that may be more refinery than farm. For older, working-class Americans who stretch every grocery dollar, this kind of trickery cuts especially deep. They buy that pure bottle not as a luxury but as a safeguard, trying to do right by their health, only to discover they may be swallowing the very chemicals they thought they were escaping. RFK Jr. says they are poisoning us. And if this lawsuit is right, they're doing it behind labels so reassuring that most people never think to doubt them. Before they poison us any further, arm yourself with truth. Subscribe now and protect your home, your health, your future.